at station.
Road secure. Off you go. Go. Last man's on deck.
Drifter 1, drop-off complete. Moving to holding pattern.
Team deathmatch. Enemy threats in the AO. Weapons hot.
Hey guys, Drifter here. I hope you enjoyed that nice clean intro. I thought it would be a great way to introduce you to the mode that we're going to be showing off today, which is Realism mode. The map is Azir Cave at nighttime, and I think it just loaded up regular team deathmatch, but in the office what they called this was Realism mode. You get no radar, no HUD, no hit markers, and very realistic night vision goggles that you have to use to their maximum effectiveness to survive. I'm only going to be showing off a little bit of my PC gameplay because it was absolutely brutal for me. I went about 5 and 15. It was kind of a miserable experience. I had some bad issues with teammates, which I will talk about later on in the video. So you'll see quite a bit of gameplay from Chaos and Team Martin on here from PlayStation, and they use different guns and stuff too, so that's great. But most of my early gameplay actually allows me to aim down sights, which is incredibly rare in this mode because most of the weapons don't do that. However, I read the descriptions and I found a special pair of optics in the gun bench that were night vision goggles compatible, so I put those on. And most of the other footage though is going to be the high ready laser sights. Basically, the mode is kind of like hardcore team deathmatch, but with core health and no hit markers. You can use left on the D-pad or Alt on the computer to turn on the night vision goggles and turn them off at any time. Outside the cave is dark, but you know, it's clear enough where you can see enemies, especially if they're near a light source. There's enough lights where you can navigate. You don't really like need them outside, but sometimes they're kind of nice. You can definitely see enemies at longer ranges with the night vision goggles. The inside of the cave is pitch black, except for one light that you can turn on and off. There's a switch for it that I never found, but if you don't use your NVGs in the cave, it is going to be like absolutely 100% pitch black, and it's going to be miserable. This entire mode revolves around properly toggling your goggles on and off, flashbangs, and proper use of lighting sources. Your guns also perform very differently in this mode. So if you're not using your goggles, you can aim down sights anytime, just like normally. However, like in real life, you can't aim down sights with the night vision goggles on due either to the bulkiness of the goggles getting in the way of your gun, or the bright optics and little like holographics and stuff totally screwing up your night vision goggles and blinding you. Most military personnel, when they use NVGs, what they like to do is a high ready position, and they use infrared lasers to aim because you can see those in the goggles very clearly. But also, like real life, if the enemy has night vision goggles, then they can see your laser very clearly, and they know exactly where you're coming from. So what most operators do is they toggle these on and off as needed. So in this game, when you aim down sights with most weapons, you'll high ready and the laser sight will turn on. All of the enemies will be able to see your beam and have a very good idea of where you are, but you can aim at this point. It's off when you're not aimed down sight, so if you just want to hip fire, that's totally fine, but your hip fire is not nearly as accurate. However, if you use the highest power laser sight attachment from the gun bench, I think it's called the 5 kilowatt green something, it's just like the biggest, nastiest laser sight you can get, and it makes your hip fire insanely tight. The downside to that, though, is that will always be on if it's equipped on your weapon. You can see that one's bright enough. You can see it in regular multiplayer maps in the daytime. It's super strong here. You stand out like a sore thumb. I strongly don't recommend it. Unfortunately, remember when I mentioned those teammate issues? Most of my teammates absolutely loved this attachment. They loved the hip fire on it, and they didn't know what this mode was, so they kind of left it on. So I think of my 5 teammates, 3, maybe 4 of them were all running the super bright green laser that they couldn't turn off. So I'm like trying to sneak around the map and be smart and flank and stuff, and they're kind of just busy putting on a laser light show, giving away our positions. So that was miserable. Your teammates can definitely screw you over, either on accident or not. And there's a couple of sets of optics that are night vision goggles compatible, just like real life. I unlocked them for most of my gameplay because I thought it'd be better to ADS. When I played this mode in the Infinity Ward offices, I loved it. It was my absolute favorite thing that I played. I adored this mode. But when I played there, I played on an organized team that communicated well, and we understood the laser sight meta, and we had default classes built for it that didn't have lasers turned on. And I found it to be fun, fresh, tense, tactical. It was totally different than anything I played before, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit more like a hardcore, kind of reminded me of like Rainbow Six, but where you can respawn, you're kind of creeping around. I thought it was really fun. When I played this mode at the Modern Warfare reveal, I hated it. It was one of my least favorite things that I played, and I think that's because the team that I was on all had the bright green laser sights just permanently. They were always giving away my position with their laser light shows. They didn't quite get the whole laser meta. Our communications were not on point because at about this time people were getting food and they were talking to people that were filming, and events kind of get chaotic like that, so those coordination and callouts kind of went down to zero. The other team was a little bit more on top of things. They were a little bit more coordinated, and this kind of made it a miserable experience. I was always being exposed, being murdered. It got frustrating to the point where I couldn't aim properly. I wasn't thinking. I was just kind of going through the motions here. And I think Noah J also pointed out, I think he asked me how many gamers want to see just shades of green for an entire match. That did get a little bit old. But I think this is the perfect example of how the mode's going to play out at home too. If you play this mode with friends, if you get on with your squad and team up and creep around the cave and the night maps and hunt people down, it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. It'd be really interesting to see competitive. There's no way that pros are going to like go for this in any capacity. They're usually very conservative with the modes that they like, but I'd love to see them try it. However, playing with randoms is going to be miserable, and I can tell. Playing with randoms means I might as well just go do my taxes early. Playing with randoms mean I guess I'm just cleaning up all the dog hair in my house or something, because that's going to be a lot more fun than having people just constantly expose your location and no coordination for callouts since you don't have a map or anything. You don't know if enemies die when they run around the corner. It can get super, super frustrating. So I think this is going to be either a competitive sweaty boy S&D type mode, or it's going to be a complete dud. When it comes to changing the mode or improving it, I think that maybe adding hit markers would help. You know, on one hand, I definitely liked and kind of appreciated the realism of not knowing when I've really killed somebody, because in real life you don't get hit markers. You don't hear the bullet feedback when it hits people. You know, you just kind of either see them fall over and stop moving or keep running, and if they kept running, you probably missed them, though some people run with really big holes in them, which is scary. But that's really neat. Like, I was like, oh shit, that's like, no wonder cops and soldiers shoot somebody like 40 times. They were still moving all the way down. You shoot until they stop moving. However, in a video game, especially one that's incredibly team dependent, it can get kind of confusing. It can cause me to waste a lot of ammo. The tactile, the sound feedback that I was kind of looking for and have had in a long time is missing. So I think that adding something like a minimap or radar to this mode would be bad. I think that tweaking the lasers wouldn't be very good, but maybe adding hit markers could help it out, bring it a little bit closer back to normal. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something useful. If you have more questions about this mode or anything else, ask me on Discord or Twitter. All those links are down there below in the description. And enjoy the raw gameplay here at the end from PlayStation 4 so you can kind of all see how it plays. Drifter out.